Hey, I'm Kate, your Millspool BFF. Today, I want to talk about finances, what no one likes to talk about. I'm probably going to stop and start this video because it's allergy season here. I have allergies and I don't want to gross cough on camera. So we're going to talk about pay scale, pay periods, how it works for you instead of you working for it, some programs that can help you out with food, and then how to divide your expenses up so you actually can save and have a little bit of fun. Since it's not a lot, it took my husband and I a while to figure out how that money can work for us instead of us working for it and trying to figure out how to schedule things or buy groceries and whatever. So the way that pay works in the military, which really surprised me, it's not every 2 weeks. It says it's on the 1st and the 15th, but that's not always true. If you have Navy Fed, you get paid the business day before. So if the 15th lands on a Monday, you're getting paid the 12th. And then not until the 31st, if there's 31 days in that month. So that's a pretty big gap. It's like 2.5 weeks. So the way my husband and I have made our money work for us is figuring out when all your bills come out and totaling the amount of bills and splitting it up evenly between the 2 pay periods. So about the same amount of money is coming out in each. Same thing with grocery shopping. If you find it easier to shop weekly, see how much you're spending in total and then break it up evenly. That way it's not such a huge surprise when one large bill comes out, or when you have a bunch of little bills and then it's a lot of money, and now you're scrambling and wondering how you're going to go grocery shopping and buy shoes and all the rest of it. So looking at your income as a monthly income instead of 2 pay periods has really helped us out. Also, looking at how much money you make in total a month gives you a better picture of how much you're spending on bills, needs, wants, and extras. Breaking it down into those 3 categories also really helped my husband and I out in eliminating some of the expenses that we were unnecessarily spending money on. So you want your money, and this is not financial advice. This definitely goes against all the financial advice that I have heard, but the other financial advice that I've heard doesn't work for military families because, let's just be honest, we don't make enough. So, calling the kettle black. If you look at your monthly income as 100%, right? You want your expenses, your necessary expenses, to be 70% and under. That's what works for us. So things like car insurance, car payment, reasonable car payment, right? We're not coming back from deployment and buying a Hellcat because that's just ridiculous. We're buying something reasonable. Food is under those necessary expenses, right? So you get it. What's not necessary, okay, are games for your gaming system. Sorry. Or all the streaming services. Maybe pick 1 or 2, If you have a credit card, a lot of the credit cards or cell carriers, T-Mobile, they have a lot of extras like add-ons. We have T-Mobile and we get a Netflix account with our T-Mobile account. If you have Amex, I think Disney Plus is a part of that, and maybe one other one. So check out those perks. Then you can add the streaming services back that you would normally have. But streaming services, not a necessity. YouTube has a lot of free stuff. That's all I'm saying. Extras, again, streaming services, fun little things. So backing up, you want your necessities to be 70% and under. Then with that other 30%, what we have decided is to take, depending on what's going on that month, to take 25 to 50% of the rest of that money and save it. Because before we had this plan, we were not saving anything, and things came up and it got tight. And I'm sure this has happened to you guys also. So to have that little buffer, little cushion, you want to at least be saving like couple $100 a month. And then with the rest of that little bit, you have your extras and your fun stuff. So with that percentage, that could be like date night or a trip. We live in Georgia, so we like to go to the beach. So that's like extra gas money. Visiting my husband's parents in Florida. They live about 3 hours away, so, extra gas money. The rest of that money, it might be small at first, but you can do a lot with it if you get creative, which is another video. It's a very common misconception that military people and their families get food and housing for free. So I want to clear that up for anyone who's either going active duty, newly in active duty, or just like generally curious about military life. You get BAH, which is basic allowance for housing, and then BAS, which is basic allowance for subsidies. Basic housing, if you live on base, you don't get. Like, you get it, but it immediately gets taken out by the housing rental company on base. So you never see that money. If you live off base and you get, let's just say $1,500, it's where you live, it depends on your zip code, how much money you're going to get. So like if you live in California in a richer area, you're going to get more in housing allowance than you would in, a rural part in like Kansas, right? So we'll just work with $1,500 for now. You get that $1,500 and that is for everything. That's for rent, utilities, electric, water, gas, garbage. That $1,500 is for all of it. It's not just for rent or a mortgage, which trips so many people up. My husband and I were looking into buying a house before we moved for the first time, and we made that mistake. We thought it was like, just for the mortgage, we could get a pretty decent house for the amount that we were going to get in the zip code that we were living in. No. No. You have to total all that together. And some garbage is freaking expensive. I think my sister pays like $200 a month for garbage in South Carolina. I don't know. That's wild to me. So you have to look at all that too. Living on base really worked for us because my husband's commute is like 3 minutes. And he gets to come home after PT and for lunch every day. So it worked for us. Living on base is not bad. It's actually pretty great if you get a decent house. We like it. I believe is different per pay grade, and it could possibly increase or decrease with the amount of children that you have. Don't quote me on it. I'm not an expert on BAS, but I know we, as a family of 4, get about $400, I think, a month for basic subsidies. So it's like food, right? And it gets added in per paycheck. So it's $200 for the first paycheck and $200 for the second paycheck. It's a nice little bonus. You live in the barracks, that will get taken away. So you will see it in your paycheck, but you won't see it reflected in the net that you get, because they take that subsidies and give it to the DFACs so they can pay for food so you can eat. So if you're married and you're saying, oh, that's not going to affect me, if you TDY somewhere or end up going to a school or even deploying, this is what they would do in past deployments. They take your BAS. So your base pay, your net will be however much your base pay, your subsidy is less. So my husband's deployed. If they were still taking his BAS, we would be minus $400 a month, because that's for his food. It's not for us. That's for him as a service member. If you TDY or go to a school and it's over 21 or 30 days, I can't remember. They've changed some things recently. if it's over a certain amount of days, they take it for that month. So you'll be down $400 that month. It doesn't seem fair, but that's how it is. There's a lot of backhanded rules in the military. Like with BAS, they say that it's to feed you and your family, but then if you go somewhere as a service member and it's for a certain amount of days, they'll take it. So your family is kind of screwed. Especially with deployment, that never made any sense to me. You get deployment pay, which is like an extra little bonus, but it's less than your BAS, and they take your BAS. So in a lot of cases, you don't make more on deployment. You could possibly make less. A couple programs that I know about enough to speak on, I will share. WIC, Women, Infant, Children, it will probably be labeled as a WIC clinic on your base or in the surrounding city. You can go there. It's for women, infant, and children under 5. They will help subsidize your food. So you will go, they'll do like a little check-in. You have to bring your income statement and like proof of residency and ID. So kind of like going to the DMV. They will do a checkup like height and weight on your children and you if you're on it, and they'll check your iron levels, but that's basically it. And then they'll ask you like a bunch of questions regarding food and how you serve it, how the kids eat it, how you eat it, all that. Then once you're approved, they'll give you a shopping list depending on how old your children or child are. And if you're on it, you will get a separate shopping list. So they go over that all in your appointment. It's, from what I've seen, it's a pretty good amount of food. Like one of my friends is breastfeeding and she has 2 kids. She gets, I think, like almost $80 worth of fruits and vegetables a month. That's significant. And it's all types, fresh, frozen, canned. It's help for food. There's also SNAP. When I looked up the income to qualify for SNAP, it's very low. It's very, very low. So if you might qualify if you're a junior enlisted with a family, you could possibly qualify, but it is very, very low to qualify for SNAP, at least in Georgia. I don't know how it is for other states, but at least in Georgia, it's kind of difficult to get on SNAP and qualify for those benefits. There's food banks usually around base or in local areas, and I know our base in Georgia has had a few food drives, like especially around the holidays, that you could just swing by. You don't need anything. You just go on base. I think it started at 9 in the morning, and then it went until the food ran out. So you would get in line in your car, go around, and they give you food. And it's usually they have fundraisers on base, and you can donate food to it, and then people will just go and pick it up. If you've been feeling the heat of financial turmoil, you are absolutely not alone, especially after PCS season. I think the average spent per family is like $5,000 per move out of pocket, which is a lot of money for a lot of families. $5,000, that's a lot. Do not ever feel bad about accepting help. If you need it, it's okay. That's why the programs are there. You might feel like you failed, and you didn't. It's just a matter of circumstances right now. It's not that you'll be on it forever. It's just a little help. So maybe look at it that way instead of looking at it like, I mean, you know what? You're already getting paid by the government. So that's how I see it. So why not take advantage of the programs that you qualify for, Help yourself out a little bit. Save a little more. And as always, if you've been feeling miserable in your military life, head to amotherstruth.com. Get everything from freebies to ebooks, workbooks, worksheets. Oh gosh, what else is there? Gratitude journal. Oh, there's just so much. So I'll see you there. It was lovely chatting, and I'll see you soon.